scripture comes from the Old Testament, Deuteronomy 2:26-31. So I sent messengers from the wilderness of Piedmont to King Sihon of Heshbon with the following terms of peace. If you let me pass through your land, I will travel only along the road. I will turn aside neither to the right nor to the left. You shall sell me food for money, so that I may eat, and supply me with water for money, so that I may drink. Only allow me to pass through on foot, just as the descendants of Esau who lived in Seir have done for me, and likewise the Moabites who live in Ar, until I cross the Jordan into the land that the Lord our God is giving us. But King Sihon of Heshbon was not willing to let us pass through. For the Lord your God had hardened his spirit and made his heart defiant in order to hand him over to you, as he has now done. The Lord said to me, see, I have begun to give Sihon and his land over to you. Begin now to take possession of his land. This is the word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God. All right, so I'm going to read to you from Deuteronomy 28, near the end of Deuteronomy. Judy read from the beginning of Deuteronomy, and together we are going to have an understanding of the main theme of the book of Deuteronomy in one Sunday. I think that's pretty cool. Like, sometimes we have people at Presbyterian meetings who have trouble with the Bible content exam, and I feel like, a good litmus test, how well we know the Bible, is like, can you answer, hey, do you know the main theme of the book of Romans? Right? Do you know the main theme of the book of Deuteronomy? Most people don't, even most pastors, probably, and so, you're going to know today. So what happened in Judy's verse, in the beginning? In the beginning of the book of Deuteronomy, not in the beginning. That was the Spirit of God. You have Yahweh. All right. Moses is leading the people out of Egypt. And they've wandered in the desert, and they're near the end. And the promised land is on the other side of the river, but the river is on the other side of Heshbon. This nation, this settled people. And so, Moses sends a messenger, and he says, listen, I know we've got like a bunch of people, and we might look kind of like an army, but we're not. We're not trying to conquer you. We just want to move through. So here's what we're going to do. All right? We're going to walk in a straight line. We're not going to conquer territory. We're not an invading army. We're just going to walk through, and when we need food, we're going to help your economy, right? We're going to buy food for money. We'll contribute to your local vendors. We're not going to farm your land or anything. Please don't attack us, right? Just let us exist, dependent upon you and your nation. Just let us be here. And King Sihon of Heshbon said, no, if you bring an army into my territory, I'm going to kill you. Right? Like that's how government works. You can't just go through. And so God says to them, okay, well then, Moses, I guess you conquered Heshbon. I will give you the strength. I will support it. Like, if they won't. But that's an interesting offer, and I want you to, because that phrase, if you read through Deuteronomy, just in your spare time, maybe you finished the office and you're just looking for something else fun to do and you want to read through Deuteronomy, you'll notice that refrain. I will not turn to the right, to the left, to the right, to the left. It's an important repeating idea that is important to the message of Deuteronomy. So keep that in your mind, keep that context. And I want to read to you from 28, 1 to 18. If you will only obey the Lord your God by diligently observing all of his commandments that I am commanding you today, The Lord your God will set you high above all the nations of the earth. All these blessings shall come upon you and overtake you if you obey the Lord your God. Blessed shall you be in the city, and blessed shall you be in the field. Blessed shall be the fruit of your womb, the fruit of the ground, and the fruit of your livestock will increase, and your cattle, and the issue of your flock. Blessed shall be your basket and your kneading bowl. Blessed shall be you when you come in, and blessed shall be you when you go out. The Lord will cause your enemies to rise against you, to be defeated before you. They shall come out against you one way and flee before you 7 ways. The Lord will command a blessing upon you in your barns and all that you undertake. He will bless you in the land that the Lord your God has given you. The Lord will establish you as his holy people, as he has sworn to you, if you keep the commandments of the Lord your God and walk in his ways. All the peoples of the earth shall see that you are called by the name of the Lord, and they shall be afraid of you. The Lord will make you abound in prosperity, in the fruit of your womb, in the fruit of your livestock, in the fruit of the ground, in the land that the Lord swore to your ancestors to give to you all. The Lord will open for you his rich storehouse, the heavens, to give rain in your land in its season, and to bless all your undertakings. You will lend to many nations, but you will not borrow. The Lord will make you the head and not the tail. You shall be only at the top and not the bottom, if you obey the commandments of the Lord your God, which I am commanding you today, by diligently observing them. If you do not turn aside from any of the words that I am commanding you today, either to the right or to the left, following other gods to serve them. But if you will not obey the Lord your God, by diligently observing all his commandments and decrees, which I am commanding you today, then all these curses shall come upon you and overtake you. Cursed shall be you in the city, and curses shall you be in the field. Cursed shall you be in your basket and your kneading bowl. Cursed shall the fruit of your womb, the fruit of the ground, and the increase of your cattle, and the issue of your flock. This is the word of the Lord. So it's interesting. At the beginning of Deuteronomy, people are walking through, and they offer a king of a nation they consider superior to theirs a contract, a peace treaty. And this was common in the ancient world. They were called suzerainty treaties. And we have several of them on plate cabinets. You go to the museum and see, so-and-so is suzerain of this nation. This nation is a vassal, right? And what happens is that one king of a small nation, agrees to bow down to the king of a larger, more powerful nation. And in exchange for the king swearing fealty to the larger, more powerful nation, the larger, more powerful nation agrees, first of all, not to hurt the small nation, and to protect them so that they don't need an army, and to kind of keep them safe, to take care of them, so to speak. And the smaller nation agrees to certain terms. And these terms can vary, but usually they include, you won't build an army, you won't start to attack us, you'll pay us taxes, and you'll follow our rules, follow our laws. Be a good vassal. We have vassal states still today, sometimes in more and less official capacities. Does anybody know of some American vassal states? I feel like Panama is a pretty good example. They're independent, but they're independent in a way that is pretty much totally dependent upon the United States. Japan is actually, and especially Okinawa, which is, very covered in U.S. military bases. Puerto Rico, to a lesser extent, Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory, but they're not a state. They've got this kind of deal where they have their own government, but their government is subservient to our government. And of course, we can think of vassal states in other contexts. The British Empire, there are lots of these crown colonies we're familiar with. And in history, there were different times and places, East Germany, West Germany, where states were created but answered to other world governments, couldn't be trusted to govern themselves for the safety of everyone. Being a vassal can be a pretty good deal, right? I mean, you're not paying your taxes to support your military. I think it's 40, 60 cents on the dollar of our taxes goes to the U.S. military. And then there are these other countries that are just protected by our military. They don't even have a military. They just don't worry about it. And it's not a problem for them. They're just small. They're not looking to conquer other nations and territories and be an empire. They're just looking to live their lives. And they get to, because they're vassals. But there are also disadvantages. There's a pride disadvantage, right? How mighty and powerful you feel like you are. And at times there's a representation disadvantage. Because it may be that something that your nation and your people want locally is not in the best interest of the larger, more powerful nation, your suzerain, the nation that you are a vassal of. And so you just don't get that. If you're a U.S. vassal state, you don't get to vote in presidential elections, for instance. You just don't get a say. It's only the people who live in the country proper get to do that. And so there are these trade-offs. But, if you had to pick, it's not the worst thing in the world to be. It's certainly better than being obliterated, being conquered. So, Israel, this community of slaves, the sons of Jacob, the sons of Israel, the Hebrews, the overcrossers, are leaving Egypt. They're looking for a land. There's this land they want in the desert that nobody else seems to really want, or rather everybody else seems to want, but not consistently. Everybody wants to move to it. And they say, hey, listen, we're not trying to form an empire here. Can we just be a vassal state? Can we just, you mighty powerful king, can you just, we'll be good, we promise, we'll follow your rules, we will not turn to the left or the right, we'll walk in a straight line, and you just leave us alone. Would you do that for us so that we can, start a nation, so that we can, I mean, the analogs to Ukraine are pretty obvious, right? It's like this 40-year-old nation, and they just kind of want to be able to develop. They just want to be left at peace. Can we just exist, please? The nations around them say, no. Our norm, our way of life is warfare. We fight here. And so if you want to exist, you've got to fight. And that's the situation that Moses and the people find themselves in, and then suddenly, within the book of Deuteronomy, God says, wait a second, I'll take that deal. You were willing to be subservient to some human empire, to some human king. You wanted to go back to Egypt and go be under the thumb of that nation again? You want to tell Sihon of Heshbon that he can take care of you and you will obey his rules and you will not turn to the right or the left? That's what I want from you. That's my offer. I, the Lord, will be your suzerain if you, the Hebrews, will be my vassal state. I want you to agree to follow my decrees and my laws, and if you do, then I will protect you, and I will bless you. And that will continue to hold true unless you break my rules, unless you turn to the right or to the left in the whole arrangement of the book of Deuteronomy, the whole literary categorization, the way it is structured is as a contract. And the same kind of contract we see in museums. Deuteronomy is a suzerainty treaty between God and the people of Israel, where the people of Israel sign on the dotted line and agree to be vassals of the empire, the kingdom of God, that they will be a kingdom within his greater kingdom. Those treaties usually start with a historical context, right? What led to this? There was a battle, and we agreed to surrender, and so conditions of the surrender were a vassal now, whatever it is. In this case, it was we were walking through the land, we tried to be vassals of this other nation. God said, that's right. Do not turn to the right or the left. I will be your Lord. I will be your suzerain. I will be your King of kings. You will be my vassal. Now here's what's interesting about that. Is that we read lines like this, right? And they show up on days like today. Blessed shall be your basket and your kneading bowl. Blessed shall be you when you come in, and blessed shall be you when you go out. And we want that. We want God to bless America, right? It's just like in the beginning, right? Psalm 33. Blessed is a nation whose God is the Lord's. That's what we want. But do we know what it looks like? Because I think sometimes we imagine that God blessing America looks like God doing what America wants. I think sometimes we imagine that God blessing America means America being bigger and stronger and more powerful, being a greater and more glorious empire, and God pitching in to add fuel to that fire. But in the Bible, what it means for God to bless a nation, what it means for God to bless Israel, or any nation whose God is the Lord's, is for that nation to put themselves under, to be submissive, to be subservient to the greater empire that is God's empire. And that if we do that, if we get smaller, then God gets bigger. And God takes care of us more. And if you are not in control of the national government, I don't know, maybe one of you is a member of the Illuminati, but in case you're not one of the 12 people who really controls things, right? That was a joke. I don't really believe in the Illuminati people. All right, I know. Deuteronomy said it, all right? But if you're not in control of nations, and your story is not a story of this country, that country, this way, that way, the same is true in your own private context, in your own house, your own castle, your own life. And we ask God to bless us. Often we ask God to increase our territory, to make us mightier, to give us more self-determination, more ability to control ourselves, more ability to call more shots. And often what it means to be blessed is to be a servant of God and to say, God, you're in charge, and I am a vassal. And you know who was incredible at this? Jesus. We worship Christ as King. The question is, King of what? And the answer is King of Israel. God the Father is a suzerain king. Christ the Son is a vassal king. He is king of a smaller kingdom, subservient to God. He is what David was supposed to be. He is faithful. He follows God. And the Trinity and the complexity that goes along with that. Yes, all of that. Go ahead with that. But here's the thing. When we talk about this, we need to remember the language of Jesus. Blessed are the poor. Blessed are the merciful. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst. Blessed are the meek. Blessed are the little small ones, because they shall be called servants of God. They shall be affected and procreate souls.